So
Ooh.
this mostly for Florida right here. What I'm showing you is what is the benchmark clarification. Instruction includes how slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for a personal benefit. So let's get
Mm, mm. Like you graduated from FAMU. Like you are you graduated from the HBCU. When you read that, like what do you think? How does that make you feel when you read that?
I looked at it like what are we actually studying, because they haven't even printed the books yet. It's just a little page in there that says they apply. It could be true. It could be true. We don't know how they're gonna present the information. That's all I'm saying. Like they don't even have the textbooks. They don't have anything. They just said it can be presented in that way. But I know for a fact that that don't erase the trauma and stuff. But just by saying, hey, yeah, they got applied skills. But I think they already had some of those skills in the first place, though. To be honest with you,
Thank
man.
you. So when you look at what Stephen A said, I love Stephen A's comment. Stephen A said that black people learned. What you mean learned? Like like we wasn't building pyramids, like we wasn't building and we weren't doing things and doing engineering things in Africa for I don't know 1,000 years or so. Like we learned this stuff. We was already doing that stuff. We just weren't. We were just doing it for ourselves, and we were not over here in America getting beaten and getting killed to do those stuff, to do those things. So that in and of itself is insulting. Number one. Number two, that is a Florida state standard, which means that's something you must teach legally if you're teaching in the state of Florida. And if you pull it back up, that is a sixth grade standard, sixth through eighth. So if you look that number in there, that 6 8, that means grade 6 through 8, and the AA stands for African American. That means we're teaching that to sixth through eighth graders. First of all, what does a sixth grader even need to know about slavery anyway at that age? They have no need to go that far back into history. My professional opinion as a decade educator,
Yeah,
there's
I
no
mean,
need for six.
yeah, I trust your word. I see what you're saying as your professional opinion, and I believe that it's not really necessary to teach them that slavery taught them skill sets. It's gonna be known. If you work at something, you get better at it. I don't care if you're a slave. I don't care if you just doing regular work. That's already applied. Like, why would you teach it? I think they're teaching
Because
that so another race won't feel bad. You see what I'm
that's
saying?
exactly right. I had a conversation with my friend, Dawn, shout out to Dawn, who's a white lady, and her and I had a conversation, and she said she's tired of her son, her white son, coming home crying from school in elementary when he's learning things about about back in the days in slavery times and just early America. And there is a huge thing about white guilt. And I'm going to say a very unpopular opinion. I think black people need to be a little more sensitive to white guilt. Now, let me tell you why. Because, like Game of Thrones says, I don't believe that a son should pay for the sins of his father, period. We have to find a way to teach the history at an appropriate age, but also in a considerate way so that the people walking out of the classroom whose ancestors did all of that, they don't feel so bad like they did it. They didn't do it, and that's a
Well,
fact.
I beg a different. I don't think they should feel bad, but I think if the sons can benefit from the good doing of their father, they gotta kind of take some of that bearing of the bad they did. They gotta pay for some of those sins. If you say they can't benefit, or they shouldn't be held accountable for what somebody else did, then they shouldn't be able to benefit from what somebody else did as well. So you got to make
Well,
it, if you want to make it equal across the board. So they got to feel some of that suffering and stuff. They got to give up a little bit of something. So in
I
that
mean,
aspect, I think they
you will
should.
inherently when you see about the pyramids being built, right? And and you know the Jews were the slaves that built the pyramids. Do you feel guilty? No, no,
I,
no,
I
no.
don't I don't benefit from the pyramids. I don't have anything to do with the pyramids. So I don't care.
So
I
you
don't.
saying because they benefited from it that they deserve to feel guilty?
No, I don't even. We're not gonna get into that because I don't even think anybody in around here built those pyramids. I don't think the pyramids was built by humans.
The same
Because
thing. I don't. Nobody around us in today's society did any of that stuff that happened in the 1800s and the early 2000s. All them dead. All them dead. The kids now. I'm talking about. Let's just stick it to within that standard. I'm talking about 6th through 8th graders. They don't need to know that. Number one. Number two, they don't have the mental capacity to be able to compartmentalize the history from what they're dealing with. If you're, because this happened to me when I was in school, when they made us watch Rosewood, when we was in school, man, as soon as I saw the first scene with the white people beating on the black man, I looked at my classmate like, you did this.
yeah, but
You
I
did
don't
that,
know.
bro.
I think
I'm talking about
I think
kids.
history is history. Like, but yeah, that didn't happen to them. But it's not very that far removed, man. Like, you got to remember, 1965 was 60 years ago. 68. I think they got the civil rights bill. You're talking about generational wealth. That's only like one generation. So
I agree with
if
you.
you got the
I'm not.
benefit
I'm
from some
not
stuff,
saying.
go ahead.
Saying that the fact that they benefited is not a fact. That is true. And that is something that needs to be taught. My issue with this and why I don't fuck with DeSantis, even though he tried to scapegoat like it wasn't me, but bitch, you the governor. If you didn't like it, if you didn't agree with it, then you would veto it and you would not sign it into law. So you shut up, you you shut up because that's bad. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
Also, it's too young. Sixth through 8th grade need not go that far back into history. Not 8th grade on down do not need to go that far back into history. They need to go back maybe 30 years.
Nah.
Like they only hear me out. Hear me out. They only 12, 13, 14. They only 13. What, you 13 in the 8th grade? You don't need to know all of that. Not that far back. When you talk about high school, where you can understand it, compartmentalize it, you done had mixed relationships as far as friends and different cultures. You can separate the history from the actual person that's sitting next to you in class. That's different. Not fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. They can't do that.
Well,
And my last point to this, it's insulting to insinuate the benefit from the people who went through it. That is utterly and completely insulting. It's like this. My mom was abused by my dad. True story. I didn't find that out till 10 years after my dad died. That would be like somebody telling my mom, I'm a benefit for her getting beat by my dad. You don't associate that at all. My
uh,
dad beat my mom. My dad beat my mom. Yes, my mom and her are that's two totally separate things. You don't say, but yeah, your daddy did beat on your mama, but look, you came out of it. No, like that's so inconsiderate to the person who went through that. To say that, hey, yes, you were a slave, but while you beat a slave, guess what you did? You learned how to grow crops. So guess what? You went and started a family, and you can take care of yourself. Are you shitting me, bro?
yeah,
Like how?
I agree with you on that part. Like, just to teach that they was benefiting, that's a straight up lie. But like I said, we don't know what the textbook's going to show. We don't know exact. Like, we got to argue with the actual textbooks. What is it going to show us? You know what I'm saying? So,
The,
I
the
don't.
fact that it's the fact that it's considered, it shouldn't even be considered. The
Well,
fact that they
it's
actually
it's
sat down, wrote this, and thought about it is horrible.
And it's a lot of people on the board that voted this way and believe this way as well. So we gotta. The thing about this, we gotta vote them out. If that's what you want to do, if you don't want stuff like this, you vote them out, and the majority wins in this case. And it looks like the majority of I think the school board panel or whatever, they believe in this way because they had an opportunity to not present that to the DeSantis as well. So
I agree.
you got to go to the sources of the people who doing it and get them up out of there. And if they don't think like you think, then it's more people that think a certain way. So you at your new norm. So you either move or adjust. You know what I'm saying? At that point.
I
So
agree. I think the only thing that's worth continuing with this discussion at a later date would be age appropriateness, subject matter versus age appropriateness. I think that's something that needs to be discussed. Like, at what age do you really need to see graphic images of slavery? At what age is it educationally beneficial for you to learn about the horrors of slavery? Like, like, do you really need to learn? Like, think about, would they ever? would they ever try and say there was some benefit to the Holocaust to the Jewish people? Like,
Nah,
no.
I don't think they'll try that, bro.
Oh, they
But
won't try that with the Jewish people because they know the Jewish people don't play that shit. We, on the other hand, we ain't in lockstep enough to even throw
it
a
ain't
rock
about
and
lockstep.
do.
It's about power, bro. We don't got
Yeah,
enough power. So like power come with that. What's your name? That dollar. So
that dollar.
yeah. So